And we're going to assemble this section of the deck right here. Okay, step one, and that is to locate those two beams we're going to work on inside the hull. I cut them to length from side to side and got them apart the distance I needed for my little mast partners. Okay, so that's the first step, is the location of these. Now here is this one finished and in its place right here. It's not glued in yet, it's just sitting here. And I'll glue it in later. Okay, moving on to my next section. What I have to do is assemble these mast partners right here and then cut notches. I got to cut a notch here and here for these ledges, here and here for these ledges, here and here for the mast partners, and then the same thing on that side. So I'm going to have to go down here and cut 6 notches. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to glue this together. Okay, like this. Okay, now if you'll notice, these right here, this stops. Let me zoom in some more. Okay, this is the notch area right here. See how it extends beyond here? So this actually is going to rest against the beam. Let's take this out. See, that rests against the beam like that, and then this notches into the beam like so. Okay, so this goes against the side and this is going to notch into it. So the first thing I got to do is clean up all these edges and get this piece assembled like so. So let me get this assembled now. Okay, I've got my notches cut. You can see them here. Like that, okay. And I've also have my notches cut in here. You see them here. So now everything just fits together. And there's my mast partners. Now the next thing I have to do is I have to put these pieces in, and they go like right here and right here and here and here. But the problem we have is these things have to line up just perfect. Same distance setting on each beam, same distance apart, squaring them all up and moving them over. So you can see why I temporarily glue these things down onto the beams. That way I can come in here and I can mark them. So I can mark this side, and the end. Because I don't want to glue this in here. I want to take these out because it's easier to cut those notches. And holding each one, see it already moved. So if you just try to hold it, it's already moving. And see how that moved apart there? So you have to come up with a way to hold this thing together so you can mark each one of these. And that's the trick into getting really nice tight fitting joinery, is to hold it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try another method. And I'll show you how I do this. See, these deck beams are arched. Okay, so when you take them and you put pressure on them, they have a little spring to them. So I'm going to take this, get it all in its proper location, like so. Then I'm going to take this clamp and I'm going to clamp it just like this. Okay. Now you see, these beams are pretty tight in there. So you'd move the whole thing before you move that beam. So I'm going to snug them up nice. That's where they go. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little spacer block right here. Now this spacer block, I've measured it out, and it's the correct distance from this mast partner to this piece right here. See, it fits in right like that. So I'm going to put that in there. Then I'm going to take my square and I'm going to push that in there like that, and then I'm going to line up the ends of it so they're exactly the same distance resting on the beam. I'm going to push it over just a hair. Okay, and go back and forth. Okay, it goes right there. Once I've got that pushed against my spacer and the spacer's against the mast partner, I'm going to hold it and clamp it. Okay, once I had the location of this this piece right here and it's secure, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a little tick mark right here and on both sides, here and here. So then I can go ahead and I will cut this notch on here and also on this beam back here. And then I'll drop this into place, and then I'll use spacers again and do the same setup, and I'm going to set the next one in, which is about here. Actually, it's exactly double this one, so I'm just going to put 2 of these spacers in here. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark and cut these 2 beams. Okay, with just a few hand tools, we managed to cut all the joinery for this section of the deck. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to assemble it right before we glue it together, just to make sure everything fits right. And we'll drop these in there like so. Okay. And there we have it. See how nicely everything fit together? I'll try to pick it up here without it falling apart. There we go. And there it is. Okay. So now I'm going to take this all apart again, glue it in, and then use these clamps right here, and I'm just going to clamp them together and hold it there. So let me get this glued together, then we're going to drop it into the hull. Okay, here's what I've done. I've put in this heavy beam under the front gun, and I put in this section here because that's where the mast is located, and also these 2 hatches. Then the next heavy beam for the next gun, then the framing for the skylight, and then the last heavy gun. So now what I need to do is I'm just going to fill in between these spaces here. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm putting in the rest of my deck beams. I'm just using a compass here, and I'm measuring from side to side and adjusting this and getting the length of my beam. So okay, that's the length of my beam. So all I have to do now is measure it out on the beam like this. and mark it. They don't have to be dead exact because I'm just getting an approximation here. Then I'm going to sand them down to get them the exact fit.